This section of the exam focuses on your ability to analyze the passage in relationship to other materials and ideas, and it consists of basic, standard, and expanded question types. Angelou took the title of her autobiography, I Know When the Caged Bird Sings, from a poem called Sympathy by an African-American poet, Paul Laurence Dunvar. The poem is below. Sympathy. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass. When the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals, I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling when he fain would be on the bough a swing. And a pain still throbs in the old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It's not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. Number 43. It can be inferred from this poem and the nonfiction passage that Angelou hated reading earlier in her life, criticized poetry earlier in her life, didn't know how to read earlier in her life, found comfort in reading earlier in her life. Number 44. Angelou did not work with Dunvar on her novel. What can you infer about the effect Dunvar's poem had on Angelou? It causes her to feel inspired about the idea of freedom. It caused her to question themes presented in the poem. It caused her to doubt his beliefs about freedom, and it caused her to reject the possibility of freedom. Number 45. Which line from the poem best highlights the similarities between the poem and the nonfiction passage? When the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. 'Tis its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling. Or, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. The following passage is a literary analysis from SparkNotes regarding the nonfiction passage. It says, even though many of the adults in Maya's life show their flaws, Maya continues to receive attention and care from others. The fact that Maya and Bailey have begun to grow naturally apart perhaps exacerbates Maya's isolation and confusion, but Bailey remains the most important person in her life. He persuades her to reveal the identity of the rapist, and his tearful reaction to learning that the man who lived with him raped Maya several times, raped Maya reveals the loving support he gives her. Bailey does not betray her trust. He never blames her for the rape or the sudden return to Stamps, Arkansas. Once there, Mrs. Flowers offers Maya a way to speak without fear. Maya welcomes their return to Stamps because life there is predictable, but both Maya's silence and general silence regarding the rape persist, and she continues to carry her unarticulated burden of guilt. Reading aloud from books or reciting poems with Mrs. Flowers allows Maya to speak through the words of others. Maya considers Mrs. Flowers a hero, and thus shows that she has begun to forget, to a certain extent, the fact that books portray only males as heroes. Number 46. Which of the following statements best summarizes the argument SparkNotes makes about the passage? SparkNotes argues that Mrs. Flowers is a flawed adult, thereby making her a villain. It argues that Mrs. Flowers helps to free Angelou, thereby making her a hero. It argues that Mrs. Flowers is powerless to free Angelou, thereby making her a flat character. Or it argues that Mrs. Flowers is unimportant to the narrative. Number 47. What does SparkNotes identify as a conflict or problem in the nonfiction passage? Angelou and the rapist have naturally begun to grow apart. Mrs. Flowers and Bailey have naturally begun to grow apart. Mrs. Flowers and Angelou have naturally begun to grow apart, or Angelou and Bailey have naturally begun to grow apart. Number 48. Which line from the nonfiction passage, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, best supports Mrs. Flowers' status as a real-life hero for Angelou? She said she was going to give me some books and that I must not only read them, I must read them aloud. The sweet scent of vanilla had met us as she opened the door. Most families in our town bought ice late on Saturdays, only a few times during the summer to be used in the wooden ice cream freezers. Or, I'll accept no excuse if you return a book to me that has been badly handled. All right, answer the questions and click submit.